So some more info and some more speculation on who will replace Klaus Schwab. That there was an extraordinary meeting held to establish the selection committee strikes me as odd. I mean, that he was going to step down has not been new news. The dude's 88. So I speculate, and it is speculation, that Klaus perhaps had a medical incident necessitating the hastening of his departure. Speculation. Stay with me for a moment as we get into what I speculate, again, are some possible contenders to replace him. Do you remember in the great conflict in the 40s, well, 39 through 45, sorry, coaching my terms, the little fellow there, the Austrian painter, historians fault him for one of the many reasons he blew a substantial lead, let's call it, is he shuffled his generals around like a deck of cards, not just from one front to another, but one from land to air or vice versa. I mean, they took the Desert Fox and moved them from the land of the sand to the beaches right at the crucial end. Again, military historians fault the little fella for being brutally in error in his tactics, and again, in part, shuffling the generals around. So let's look at some generals, so to speak, in NATO. Although, of course, it's not a military organization, but the terminology fits. Now, the head of NATO is Mark Rutte, former Prime Minister of the Netherlands until the farmers ran him out, and he was placed as head of NATO. Yeah, Mark Rutte, head of NATO. Young Global Leaders Program classmate of Justin Trudeau in 2005. So they just placed him as the general of NATO. Head of the IMF. This is a bit interesting. Kristalina Georgieva? Something to that effect. A Young Global Leaders Program, WEF member. Now we come to Antonio Guterres, head of the United Nations, which is openly partnered with the World Economic Forum. No contention there. He sat on the foundation board alongside Mark Carney. Antonio sat there for about 10 years. UN, pretty important position. Do you want to move a general out of there? Does he have someone to move up in the ranks? Speculation. Ajay Banga, head of the World Bank, and as far as I can tell, ranked second. You know, in how many stars the generals have on their shoulder. I don't know. A lot of money there. There's $41 billion missing currently, and a lot of money sent from each country. You want to know how much money Canada has sent to the World Bank for who knows what? Check out David Moose on the Loose is the name of his channel. He's been following that. Got some good intel there. Now we come to the European Union and the EU Commission in Brussels. Ursula von der Leyen, she's got her hands full on the Eastern Front, so to speak, as there's a lot of pushback from the EU member countries regarding the World Economic Forum's control over their sovereign rights of each country. It's not going well for the WEF currently in the EU. So she's got her hands full, and she is elected by the EU Parliament. So I don't see her being shuffled at this point in time. Klaus's son and daughter, again, they've been in charge of money laundering all along. I could go into some details and some money and stuff over the years that's quite intriguing. Well, intriguing is a polite way of putting the corruption, but that doesn't matter, really. Chrystia Freeland, have we underestimated her? She sits on the Board of Trustees, which has 4 annual meetings a year, and a lot of policy is made there. You got some top star generals sitting on the Board of Trustees. Freeland attends the 4 annual meetings as well as the public gathering in Davos, which really is just a cash cow for Klaus Schwab. It's kind of where he got started in the really big bucks and kind of why he formed the World Economic Forum, really. To put that in a low-tech sense, and I know I'm deviating from the main theme here, I think, is Tupperware broken out of business now? But like 40 years ago, it was a going concern, and the guy, well, the couple who ran the outfit in British Columbia, they'd hold monthly meetings where they'd get the Tupperware upper-level salesmen, all women, almost exclusively, all fired up, new product lines go out, get, blah, blah, blah. Keep the momentum going, you know what I mean? That's kind of what Davos is. But back to Freeland. 4 annual meetings on the Board of Trustees, as well as being a lead speaker at the Davos annual meetings. Perhaps we've underrated her, and she's not popular with the Canadian populace. She's still in Carney's cabinet, but did he even give her a ministerial position? Not sure, should have checked that. As far as who else would be in the running, I really don't know. That goes beyond, researching who sits on the Board of Trustees, who sits on the foundation board. And the WEF is pretty secretive. I mean, what I dig out's available publicly, but what goes on behind the scenes, I'm never going to find. So, I don't know. Speculation, but food for thought, I suppose. I'll be keeping an eye on the subject matter. In summation, in part, just as a summation, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the UK, he's in political trouble big time. We're not seeing on the news here what's happening in the UK and Canada, and we certainly should be if it was real news at all. But that's a different subject matter. I'll get into that if I can later this week. It looks like he's going to be without a job. And when they're without a job, the country leaders think, oh, what's her horse face from New Zealand? Ardern. What was her first name? Anyways, they found a gig for her at the UN. They'll find a gig for Starmer. They'll find a gig for Trudeau. But I don't see Trudeau or Starmer being in the running, really, to lead the World Economic Forum. I know, nothing solid. Doing the best I can.